Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me first remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the use and the reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We're also covered by Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing
imminent lawless action.
Yeah, and is likely to incite or produce.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
Yeah, there's no brown cows anymore.
We really need to start just doing vocal exercises before we start. And
I mean, this is episode 173. So I've said that on air probably 150 times. Right, and me being anxiety ridden that I am, I've said it in my head 1,000 times. I can recite it in my sleep like 99% of the time, except when we get on air and I just fumbled it. Yeah,
it's like that story that I think it's Andrew W. Is it Andrew WK? I think it's Andrew WK tells about when he went to audition for a band, and like he thought like he was gonna just like do, because he was a drummer, or not a drummer, piano player. I think he played piano, and he was gonna do like he was gonna just go perform for them, and he shows up and they're doing a live show in front of a club. And they're like, all right, get up here. And like, what song do you want to do? And he's like, and I panicked and I went, Rocket Man. And, and he's like, oh no, why did I say that? He's like, the most complicated song you can imagine for piano. And it's really well known. And he's like, and I barely know how to play it. And he was supposed to do vocals and he kept just going, I didn't think it would be like this. And they're like, come on, man, what's wrong? I didn't think it would be like this. Just complete panic.
Yeah, that's kind of par for the course for me though. So, but yeah, I don't have any other lame ass discussion points.
No lame discussion.
Wait, no.
Points?
Okay, wait. I do have a lame ass discussion point because I took a picture yesterday. Went grocery shopping, and I filled up the gas and I took a picture. $5.79 for regular. $5.79 for regular. $6.29 for diesel. And just happenstance today popped up in my Facebook memories a picture of the same gas station a year ago. Right, so 1 year ago, $3.89 for regular, $3.89 for diesel. So
yep,
$2 more for regular, $2.50 more for diesel.
Yep, sounds about right.
It's totally Rush. It's totally Russia's fault, you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I posted that picture where I put together from back when I took a picture of the pump in June when I filled my truck, and to put premium in here, it was like, what was it? It was like $3 and change versus like almost $5 here when I filled it, and like, and if you pay at the pump, it's like, they put the $100 hold on your card, and that's how much you can use. That is not enough to fill my truck right now.
They just, I think Visa just increased it to 150, which still, in a lot of cases, isn't enough.
Well, yeah, if you're putting diesel into a real big truck,
like the new, the Rams have like, what is it, 38.9 gallon tank or 39.8, something like that. So it's literally a 40-gallon tank. And if you're paying it at $6 on a 40-gallon tank, is $240
to fill it once.
Yeah, so that $100 is going to get you half the tank.
So glad I have a company gas card for the truck that they let me drive. I got the 2019 Dodge Ram that I take for work now, and holy crap,
Is it the
With a 40
the pretty? Is it a 1500 or 2500?
15.
Okay, with the 5.7.
Mm-hmm. And she
Yeah,
eats up gas still. Like
you're getting like 12 or 14.
yeah, and
Well,
I drive it to and from to pick up my laborer. So it's like a 40-minute trip just to pick him up from my house, and then another 40 minutes to the job site, and then we're driving around, and then drop him off, and drive 40 minutes back to my house. So I'm filling up like every other day.
Wait, so it's a gas, or is it diesel?
Gas.
It's gas, so it's a 6.4 is what it is.
Oh, okay.
6.4 or 5.7.
Yeah, it's a 6.4. Yeah, because if it's the diesel, it's a 6.7. So that's Jesus Christ. Yeah, and that's keep in mind the 6.4 is what they went to, because the 5.7 is what my truck has, and they went to a 6.1, and now they got the even bigger 6.4. Like, they're increasing displacement, which means that your fuel mileage is going down slightly, and you're good God.
Thank goodness. I still got I have a 96 Chevy Cavalier, which for some reason is still running, and it's still getting like 21, 22.
Well,
yeah, it must be nice.
Cavalier.
Even the car that we have only gets like 16 mpg, because it's still got a great big V8 in it. Because power.
Yep. The new EPA mandates are saying that the newer vehicles have to reach 49.
Fuck that shit.
I'm not happy about
49.
There's the big trucks.
I'm not sure what her Jeep gets miles per gallon. I'd have to do
8.
Well, it does really well. Because it's a 94 Jeep Cherokee.
Oh, okay, Cherokee. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's a Wrangler, man, a Lobster is literally more aerodynamic than a Wrangler.
My friends up in
2.5
Wyoming.
mile drive last weekend from Canyon City to here, and it barely hit a half a tank.
Yeah, my friends up in Wyoming. One of them has a 2013 Wrangler JK lifted on 35s.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
I know how that be.
There's a reason she nicknamed her Jeep. She nicknamed it Nuke.
Because it nukes the credit card for gas.
Yeah, that's
the only thing that hurts Sandy's Jeep is we have the regular all-terrain tires on it. Otherwise, it does good.
Yeah, I really need to do that for my truck, because my truck's also lifted significantly. It's on 35-inch MTs. It's a 5.7 Hemi with a 6.1 intake, and it's got a tune that sets it up to run only on 91 or 93 octane. So I get about 9.5 miles per gallon, and I can only run it on premium.
I don't want to do the miles per gallon on my Ford, because it's a 7.5 liter V8, 96 F250.
Oh, and you got the mid 90s square body, huh? Crew cab,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
with the bad rear end.
Yeah, it bounces damn near everywhere. The only time it has a nice smooth ride is when I'm actually towing the trailers.
That's because it's way down.
Yeah, exactly. She hauls everything, but is not made for a ride.
Yeah, you probably count your MPH on a hand and your dick.
It's not about gallons per mile. It's about smiles per mile, you see.
Yeah, Andrew just admitted to driving an H2. Only an H2 driver would say something that gay.
A buddy of mine actually has an H2, and it's funny because you can set the display up above the steering wheel to like show you in real time your miles per gallon. And at one point he gunned it from a stoplight and it showed 0.
Tears 73 tears per mile.
Yeah, it just shows a crying Indian on the. It just goes to that. Just,
Like, why? Why are you doing
Oh.
this to us?
Speaking of crying Indians, I guess a Christopher hit another deer, or in this case, I
Well,
guess
the deer hit him.
The deer hit Christopher.
yeah.
Deer hit him.
So he might be joining us tonight. He might not. But that was a creepy picture. Just fur hanging in the window, the windowsill,
That was
Yeah.
trippy.
and it got up and walked away.
Yeah, they do that. It
Lost
might have
that
gone
game
off and died somewhere, but
Lost that game of chicken.
yeah, thud. I'm sure that deer was like, "What the hell was that?"
I'm walking here.
Yeah, hey, I'm walking here.
Anybody get the number of that truck?
No. I've never hit anything that big, thank goodness. I don't know how I
not
know.
yet.
Drive out here, and you'll get to experience that constantly. We
I
even
almost
have moose.
Lucky
and
I haven't
elk.
hit anything yet myself. I've seen it on
I
the
mean-
side of the highway. They're like watching.
I mean, we got a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
haven't
tweakers
actually
around
hit
here, so I
one.
might hit something that big at some point, but not with 4 legs.
Kitty.
So yeah, Fed
Yeah.
posting hashtag.
Yeah, I
Um,
keep threatening to get those because of the way especially the college kids around here are complete lemmings. I keep threatening to get those stickers where it's like the World War II, the fighter downed, like the kill stickers, but like it's got like a pedestrian and like somebody in a wheelchair, and
Yeah.
put them on my
like
fender.
like seven bicycles.
Yeah.
Oh. And, I guess since we're on this subject, we can just go ahead and talk about inflation. You guys
Sure.
want to talk about inflation?
I mean,
Sure.
I wish I didn't have to. I wish it.
Inflation will
wasn't an issue.
cost the average U.S. household $5,200 more in 2022. Economists have now given raising inflation a suggested dollar amount for 2022 budgets. When comparing the cost of goods and services to 2021, you can expect this year to cost the average U.S. household more than $5,200 more, or $433 per month. That's according to Bloomberg Economics.
Jesus, 5,200. Well, there goes the raise that I was excited that I got. That's gone.
Right. What
But,
raise?
quote, accelerated depletion of savings will increase the urgency for those staying on the sidelines to join the labor force, and the resulting increase in labor supply will likely damage wage growth.
Oh,
That's
yay.
according to Bloomberg economist Andrew Hutsby and Anna Wong.
Even better news.
Yes.
Mhm.
I read another article. About Google Analytics. People searching for food stamps was up like 1,300% over the last like 3 months, and it continues to stay high.
Well, yeah, I think I told you guys like a couple of weeks ago where we had the police over at my work, and they warned us, like, anybody who's a cash heavy business, man, they're getting robbed. There's people are getting desperate. Like, we straight up had a warning from the police that they're seeing way more robberies and stuff now.
Yep. It says
Our economy's just doing dandy according to Biden.
Yeah, it's doing so great. Well, and Biden's fucking sycophants.
Okay, according to Wall Street, the economy is fantastic. But again, we know that the numbers are fudged. That's the Federal Reserve protecting
Unemployment's down to 3.6%, guys.
You know how they measure the unemployment numbers? By people
I've seen
actively looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people. If people leave the workforce in droves,
Yep.
then it makes the unemployment numbers look good, which means that Biden's numbers look
yeah.
great because everybody's gotten like so sick of it they've given
There's
up.
actually like 3 or 4 different columns, and the one they read from is the one's actively looking. The fourth column is the one that's like everybody that's out of the workforce.
And it's like 12 or 13% or something like that.
Yeah, it's always so much higher.
Yeah.
I pointed that out like during Obama's term, and people were like, "What?
Yeah, hey.
All their read lines.
You mean they pick and choose?"
Yeah.
No.
The estimate is another reminder of the bleak, disheartening economic outlook that is not amiss on the public. A Gallup poll recently released showed inflation as the most important economic problem seen facing the United States. Quote, inflation began rising as a public concern last fall after being a non-issue for Americans through 2020. Quote, it's more top of mind than it's been over 3 decades and appears to be taking a toll on Americans' broader economic confidence. Inflation is the leading public concern, with 59% of people saying they're worried about it, quote, a great deal, and 58% saying they also worried a great deal about the economy. Okay, that's weirdly worded.
So a bunch of people worry about inflation specifically, and a bunch of people worry about the economy generically.
Yeah. Gallup noted that the mentions of inflation as a nation's top problem hover around 10%, a figure much lower than the 52% in the early 1980s, when inflation was elevated after a period of stagflation in the 1970s. So it's up. So normally it's around 10%, and now it's 58, 59. So,
and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. And the margin of error on this is only about 4%. It says. And it's only going to get worse. And it is only going to get worse because and we talked about the weak wheat harvest, and we talked about obviously the gas prices when we first logged on. But Spain recently gave the go ahead for stores to put purchasing limits in place. Right. And then Canada is also having purchasing limits. Credit cards. I think, like I said, Visa recently raised their limit to 150 for gas purchases. Right. It was at 100. It's now 150. And then they're also, I think it's like 30% of your bank account or something like that is the limit for credit card purchases at grocery stores now, because they're worried about getting ripped off. But it's not looking good.
Yeah, things are only going to keep getting worse. Like, stock up on non-perishables right now, like hardcore. Yeah, like, that's a big thing.
Even like I went to the dollar store last weekend. Went out to lunch with my dad, hit the dollar store on the way back. And I did not know this, but the dollar store is now the $1.25 store.
Yep. Yeah, they announced that a couple of months ago that they were going to have to raise the prices of items
in December or something like that. Which, I mean, a quarter, that's 25% or 25% inflation on the prices, right? But we're talking inflation 7.8% or whatever. Either way, it's still a really good bargain. But I picked up 20 1-pound bags or 22-pound bags of rice at $1.25 a piece, and then a bunch of jars of peanut butter and some pancake syrup, and I ended up spending like $55 at the dollar store.
Other things that are going to become really important to get your hands on: honey, because honey never goes bad ever.
Salt.
Yep, salt's going to be a big one.
Even Top Ramen. I don't know if you noticed that Top Ramen. At Walmart, Top Ramen was for the case, the 24-pack, like $13 for a 24-pack of ramen, which is like the highest I've ever seen it.
Yeah, meat is through the fucking roof right now.
The avian flu is flying. It's like 19 states now. It's flying from the East Coast, moving west. Something like 17 million chickens have already died or been culled. All right, so egg prices are going to go through the roof, and then chicken prices are going to go through the roof.
If you can find chicken, because right now,
I went grocery shopping Saturday, and a 3-pound bag of frozen chicken breasts was like $14, and then the flat, which is 60 eggs, was like $15.88, which is like double what it was like 3 months ago.
Oh yeah, and I always tell everybody, like, I have a shit ton of powdered egg stored up. Like tons and tons of powdered egg, because I know that one of the first things that's going to get hard to get your hands on is going to be eggs. I always know that.
Powdered eggs, powdered milk.
Yep, powdered. You can get powdered peanut butter too, which is super nice because it packs much smaller. It's much lighter.
I put it in my protein shakes.
Yep. That's another big one. Like there's a lot of stuff. I mean, buying beans, buying rice, getting those things that you can stock up on, that you can set aside. I mean, because right now grocery stores do still have food, but that's going to continue to change. I mean, my local grocery store, if I go to it, the last time I was in there buying a bunch of stuff from them, there was this huge hole where normally there's a bunch of chicken. There is no chicken there. Like I got like 4 things of chicken thighs because that was all they had was chicken thighs.
Yeah, Winco in Brentwood, California. Brentwood in the Bay Area, not Brentwood in Southern California. It's where I go grocery shopping. And they have one of their entire freezers that's usually full of meat. They had it black. You know, it was turned off. There was no meat in it. Like, I mean, this is like a huge, you know, a huge like meat container, and it was empty. Hamburger was pretty cheap. I was able to get a 10 pound of 80/20 for $18.70. Right, so $1.87 a pound for 80/20, which I was fucking happy as a clam about. But chicken was almost non-existent, and then there was only 2 or 3 cuts of beef, and it was pretty expensive.
Yeah, I
bought Walmart out here in north of Brighton was like all the meat probably half full, if that.
Yeah,
like,
and there's signs. It's getting common to see signs up on grocery stores that say like, "We're really sorry, you know, the supply chain is disrupted for this product. We'll get more in.
Please be patient."
Yeah, like, and it's starting to get common to see that. What you're going to see in probably the next couple of years is you are going to see just how nasty people can really get. When food won't even be gone, it'll just be hard to get.
I actually saw a meme earlier. I think it's from I think it was P&W Gorilla. You know those guys. And it said the Karen down the street is only nine missed meals away from tearing your throat out.
Yep. You know, and that's the thing is like I told Lindsay that last night. I was like, you know, I said I'm glad that I have the vests. I'm glad that I have the guns and all the ammo and everything that I have, because we've been stocking up on stuff, and we haven't really told too many people around here that we have all this extra, because that's a stupid fucking idea.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if anybody finds out that we're still doing okay, we're going to become a target.
Yes. I've already told you guys this, but I'll say it for the listeners. Eatwild.com, EATWILD.com. It is a it has this cool search function where you can search for local farmers and ranchers in your area, and you can buy meat and poultry directly from them. Yeah, eatwild.com. It's a fun site to check out too, because there's a lot of resources, a lot of information.
Yeah, we'll put it here. It's I don't need you to share this. I'll show you what it looks like here.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
That's the page. It's got the cool search over here.
Now, Mr. Boring Sandwich, what's up?
Neat.
But yeah, it's you can go by state, by area. It's just there's a lot of cool local farmers out there that have product that they're willing to sell, and the prices aren't terrible. I mean, they're gonna be above what you were gonna pay for at Walmart, but again, these are local farmers, so it's a better product. It's closer to its source, and a lot of them include butchering, which is a huge deal, because butchering a half cow is a lot of fucking work.
Yeah, well, and a lot of them won't do it more than during like regular seasons as well. I just did a quick search for me, and within really easy distance, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 8, 9, 10 within pretty quick, easy distance of me. Yeah. So, Yeah, definitely check that out because that's going to matter very, very soon. And you don't want to wait. Like if you've waited until now to start stocking up on meat and things, you're already behind the curve.
Yeah,
If
I'm not.
you-
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying you're behind
Interactive
the.
map
Yeah, you're not behind the eight
comes
ball
up on
yet.
Google Maps.
Yeah, you're not behind the eight
And-
ball yet, but it's starting to eclipse.
Shows where
Yep.
pretty well.
There's a lot
If
of
you
them.
wait-
A lot of them right near you, Josh.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
them.
Yeah, there's if you wait until you're already going, oh God, where am I going to get food? It's too late. Everyone else has bought them out before you got there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had 3 within an hour's drive of me, and one of them had said no sales until September because they were already sold out.
Yep. Another
So-
one, don't forget, there's more meat. There's more red meat out there than cow. There are buffalo farms all over the place. Buffalo
Bison?
is freaking fantastic.
Ground
And-
bison is fucking delicious.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
around me, I don't know about around you guys. I would assume it's at least Josh. I think it's probably pretty similar around you, but like around me, there are tons of bison farmers here. Lots and lots and
Oh, yeah.
lots.
So
And lots.
I don't even
Getting
know where
north of
there's
us towards Wyoming. There's a lot of bison farms.
Yeah. I don't even know where there's an actual butcher near me.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Oh Jesus!
Like just
Like,
a
I know-
standalone butcher.
Yeah, like an actual butcher. Like and there's a few places that I know you can get like select cuts of meat. But I like it's just corporate Walmarts and Wincos and Safeway and Lucky's and those kind of places. I don't know that there's an actual standalone butcher near me.
Yeah, working where I was working north of Denver, I came across quite a few that I'm like driving down doing my work and like, oh look, there's a load of cows just getting out into that unobstructed building right there. Oh look, that's a slaughterhouse. I know
Yeah.
where I'm
No.
going.
See, we're lucky here in Wisconsin because there is so much hunting. There's so we're the sportsman's paradise state. So there's so much hunting and fishing and everything else here. It's really easy for us to find meat processors. There's a ton of people who just process the meat like out of a shed on the side of their property. So it's really easy to get stuff butchered.
Yeah, if I go north up where my kids are, I know of a few, but not down here in the Bay Area.
Or just learn how to do it yourself. There's plenty of books.
YouTube
I
videos.
have
you know.
a few. I have a few books.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
learn how to do it yourself. There's actually, I
uh,
just discovered there's a book
The
coming
Bearded
out.
Butcher. The Bearded Butcher on YouTube. They do videos. They're also on TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff. They just partnered up with oh God, what is his fucking name? I don't know why it just escaped me. Brock Lesnar. The Bearded Butcher. Brock Lesnar is actually part of their thing now, and he has his own signature spice or signature seasoning, and all that good stuff. But yeah, the Bearded Butcher. They're a fun one.
Yeah, this book is about to come out in a couple of months.
Which one? The Rugged Life.
The Rugged Life: The Modern Guide to Self-Reliance. It's Clint Emerson. Granted, he's a former SEAL, but from what I've read of the previews, because I've gotten to see the previews of the book and stuff, it's actually really good. Super basic. Like it's not designed for like people like us who have been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And like know what we're doing. It's designed for people who have never gotten into this before. They have no idea where to even start, and so it's written in a way that they understand, and it's set up to give them the basics for, hey, I don't have modern society to rely on anymore. I need to figure this shit out. It comes out next month. It comes out in May.
You know what scares me more than the meat shortages and the wheat shortages that are coming is prescription pills shortage,
Oh yeah.
especially SSRIs.
Oh yeah. Those are gonna get, I mean, as meds get steadily more difficult to find and things, people are going to start getting really nasty about tracking them down. I mean, there are going to be people who
the chemical dependent people, especially like the methadone, people that are relying on alcohol. It's just,
Yep.
That's why I was actually so heavily wanting to get off my diabetic medications and just have diet only and stuff, and get LASIK so I don't have to rely on contacts and all that stuff.
That's like number 3 on my wish list is LASIK.
Dude, it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I am blessed with better than 20/20 eyesight.
I think Josh has 2 of my 3. He left California and he had LASIK.
Yeah, my LASIK, waking up with 20/20 vision after the surgery and being able to like, see and not have to like put contacts in or glasses on it was unreal to me. I haven't done that since I was like in 5th grade.
Yeah,
So.
it's zero fun. I don't like them, but
so I'm told.
Fucking leprechaun.
I have fighter pilot eyes. I've literally always had better than 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
It's gotten slightly worse as I've gotten older, but I'm still better than 20/20. So
yeah, my brother,
I'm
My
nice.
brother Josh, my roommate, his is like fucking eagle eyes. I hate it.
It's really nice because it's.
I mean, he can't find the ketchup in the refrigerator, but he can, see a road sign from a quarter mile away.
Dude, that's the story of my fucking life.
That's just a guy.
I'll be like, I'll yell at my girlfriend, like, where the hell is whatever? It's in front of your fucking face in the fridge. Oh, there it is. Hey, you're right. Like, but if I'm up on a hill, I can spot a car, 15 miles away moving along and be like, hey, there's a car right there. Like,
selective hearing is selective vision.
Yeah, my hearing is fucked, but
what?
Yeah, what? Huh? Oh yeah. The barrels may cool, but that ringing in our ears stays forever.
Yes.
Thanks, 3M.
Mine's from running chainsaws without hearing.
Well, you did that to yourself.
Yeah.
But no, mine was because I was told, hey, these earplugs will totally work. You can hear the world around you, and when you fire, it mutes it, so it protects your hearing. Yeah, that's a load of horse shit. No, it didn't.
I hear on constant ads on the TV that there's a lawsuit going around for that.
Oh, Jesus.
Call
do you
1-800.
know? Dude, I have gotten 500 emails. I get pop-ups on my fucking social media all the time. I get letters in the mail, like little flyers.
They're worse than the car's extended warranty people.
Yeah, it's freaking terrible. And we've been and like I haven't gotten any phone calls, but if I did, it would be like, hey, we've been trying to reach you about this 3M lawsuit, and I'd just be like, what? What? You're gonna have to speak up.
But speaking of Afghanistan, painful memories for Andrew. Taliban bans drug cultivation, including opium.
Whole reason that we went after them in 01.
Yeah. The Taliban announced on Sunday a ban on the cultivation of narcotics in Afghanistan, the world's biggest opium producer. Quote, as per the decree of the Supreme Leader of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, all Afghans are informed from now on cultivation of poppy has been strictly prohibited across the country. That is according to the Taliban Supreme Leader, whose name I cannot even begin to try to pronounce.
Give me a shot at it. Give me a second.
This is going to be good.
Let me look. I generally am okay at them. I'm not usually great, but
it's.
I gave a quarter of a fuck when I was there. Haibatullah Akunzanda.
Yeah, what he said. Quote, if anyone violates the decree, the crop will be destroyed immediately, and the violator will be treated according to Sharia law. The order said the production, use, or transportation of other narcotics was also banned. Yeah.
Oh, they are really come at us, Western powers.
They're going after the hash. Drug control has been one major demand of the international community of the Islamic group, which took over the country in August, as it's seeking formal international recognition in order to wind back sanctions that are severely hampering baking business and development. The Taliban banned poppy growing towards the end of their last rule in 2000 as they sought international legitimacy, but faced a popular backlash and later mostly changed their stance, according to the experts. God, I wonder what happened right after they ordered that.
In 2000, I feel like something within like the next year occurred.
Like the next fall?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was. Something like the following October, somewhere in there.
Yes.
Mhm.
Should help the fentanyl problem.
You know, what's funny is that the majority of the fentanyl that's currently available on the street, you want to know where it came from? Fun fact, it all came from about 3 pharmacies in Ferguson.
Yes. Let's see.
Guess when it got taken out of the pharmacies in Ferguson?
Yeah. The Taliban. Where was I? Afghan's opium production, which the United Nations estimates to be 1.4 billion at its height in 2017.
Why did it go up so high?
When the U.S. was still in control. Has increased in recent months, farmers in the Taliban told Reuters.
Dude, we would stand guard over opium fields.
Over opium fields. I cannot tell you the number of times I've heard that story. Not specifically from you, but from other people that served over there. Like literally standing, like instead of burning, like literally standing guard over poppy fields.
Yep.
Like protecting poppy fields.
And they're not selling to the big pharma. that ain't where that's going, man.
And you wonder why there was the oxycodone epidemic.
Yeah.
Right? Why so many people got hooked on heroin? Why so many people got hooked on painkillers? And why fentanyl has become so popular? Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Was there just like some celebrity or something the other day that died because of they did coke that was laced with fentanyl?
Yeah, Tyler, whatever his name was, Foo Fighters.
My question to that is
a recovering drug addict. They're doing a show in Bogota, Colombia, and he overdoses. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But who cuts an upper with a major downer? What is wrong with your brain that you think that anyone who's doing cocaine wants anything to do with fentanyl in it? That's just stupid, man. If you're doing cocaine, you're riding that white fucking pony. You want to be hyped.
Hey, peanut butter and pickles, bro. You know, people are strange.
What the fuck?
The country's dire economic situation. I wonder whose fault that is.
There was somebody involved at some point. I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, there's some sanctions from some countries. Has prompted residents of the southeastern province to grow the illicit crop that could bring them faster and higher returns than legal crops such as wheat. Taliban sources told Reuters they were anticipating tough resistance from some elements within the group against the ban on poppy, and that there had been a surge in the number of farmers cultivating poppy in recent months. A farmer of Helmand, who spoke on the condition of anonymity, said that in recent weeks, the prices of poppy had already more than doubled on rumors the Taliban would ban its cultivation, but he added that he needed to grow poppy to support his family. Quote, other crops are just not profitable.
Yeah, because of the sanctions.
Yes. And who issued the sanctions?
Gosh.
Who is that?
It's a country a little west of Europe. A little north of Mexico, but south of Canada.
South of Canada?
Yeah, it has oceans on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, they also happen to be the ones buying all the poppy.
yeah. The leader has a couple songs about him. Yeah, I wonder who that is.
They do stickers of him.
I saw one the other day for the first time.
Oh,
Gas
nice.
Pump.
You saw one in the wild? I did too.
Yep. I saw one in the wild. Oh,
I still haven't seen one yet, weirdly.
really?
Yeah, it kind of surprises me. I haven't seen one yet. I suspect it's probably because like everybody in Wisconsin respects Quick Trip too much to put anything on their gas pumps.
I didn't expect to see one because of the overwhelming Democratic support here.
Yeah, that might be what's going on here too, because unfortunately, La Crosse is a very blue city. So
Yeah. So, but I am on the edge of it. So there is some red to the west of me. There's still some farms out that way. So,
and everybody keeps complaining that and then they just tear them off. Well, if you went either that 3M, that adhesive that they use to like stick on like the outside of the Peterson Museum is stuck on with it and stuff. That like insane industrial adhesive where it like permeates the foam of the tape and everything. Just back it with that, stick it on. It ain't fucking coming off. That's there, man. That is there.
I want to get a big cardboard one and stick it next to that gas station, next to the sign.
Now you got to get it. You got to get it printed on vinyl and then just put that on a piece of metal. And then
there you go.
Dig a hole, concrete, stake it in right next to it.
Get arrested, go to jail with a bunch of Democrats. Good times.
You just need to do it when no one can see. You gotta wait till the middle of the night and just do that real quick.
Don't get caught.
Yeah, it's only illegal if you get caught.
It's only breaking the law if you get caught.
Speaking of getting caught, we have two directions we can go. Let's go. Okay, yeah, we're far enough in that they're not going to care if we say the C word. Police are buying drones and armored vehicles with the COVID relief funds.
What? I never would have suspected of all the things.
Government misappropriation of funds, they would never do that.
President Biden has encouraged more spending on police tech despite local activists' call to fund life-sustaining food and housing programs. Last week, the White House announced that federal funding for COVID-19 testing, treatment, and vaccines would soon be depleted unless Congress approved a new spending bill. While Republicans are largely responsible for the ongoing congressional stalemate, the Biden administration has been criticized for encouraging local governments to use the American Rescue Plan Act as ARPA funds, a $1.9 trillion pandemic relief package that was approved last March, on policing in the midst of an ongoing pandemic. Yes, this is a Vice article. So I do have to make this sound really, really bad.
Didn't Biden run on a defund the police?
No, actually, no. Okay, hold on. The upper echelon of the Democratic Party never said that. They were actually staunchly against it. Like Pelosi, Feinstein, Biden, even Bernie Sanders. Like they were not part of the defund the police thing.
And yet, people decided to vote for them because
Orange Man bad.
Defund the police.
Because they had the T next to their name. Orange Man bad. It's like, dude, you elected a cop and the guy that wrote the bill that gave them more power.
Yeah, the omnibus crime bill. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Here's a quote for you. This is from President Biden at a gun violence prevention task force meeting in February 2022. Quote, I want more cities and states to use some of the $350 billion we sent them on the American Rescue Plan to fight crime, to keep our communities safe by hiring more police officers for community policing and paying police overtime, and purchasing gun-fighting technologies, like technologies that locates gunshots, so there can be immediate response because you know exactly where it came from.
We need to hire these 3 twins who have precognition abilities and set up a thing with balls.
State and local officials across the country have heeded this call, and some towns and cities are now approving the police request to spend pandemic relief funds on drones and armored vehicles. The Kings Ford Police Department, a small agency in Tennessee, purchased 2 military-grade drones in early March. The Dixon County City Council in California, Dixon is a tiny, tiny town on the Delta, is considering using ARPA funds on police drone program, body-worn cameras, and license plate reader programs.
Yes, because what a small town really needs is a drone made for war circling above its community, because that will definitely make you safer.
Yes. It will get used by the twig pigs to catch people fishing without a license.
Yep.
They're a lot more vulnerable than you might think, people. I'm just saying. Carefully aimed high-intensity laser, and down they go.
Let's see. As the U.S. approaches the grim milestone of 1 million COVID deaths, the use of pandemic funding on police technology has been criticized by local activists like Jasmine, the organizing director for Community Movement Builders, a grassroots Black liberation organization in Atlanta's Pittsburgh neighborhood. Quote, there is plenty of money for people. It is just being spent in ways that are anti-agnostic to working class Americans. Yes. DeKalb County, the Atlanta metro area, used over $500,000 in pandemic relief funds to buy aerial drones and automated license plate readers.
Because that's really going to keep people safe. Reading license plates and giving people tickets for being parked for too long in a specific place. That's helpful.
Meanwhile, the Franklin County Sheriff's Department in Missouri spent $334,715 of its $2.6 million allotment on a Lenco Bearcat armored vehicle to replace a mine-resistant 60,000-pound armored personnel carrier that the county had previously received.
What are they doing with the MRAP? Are they selling it surplus, asking for a friend?
Butler County, Pennsylvania, bought a $330,000 Gurkha armored vehicle, and the Hancock County Board of Commissioners in Ohio approved the purchase of a Bearcat armored vehicle with ARP funds at a price tag of around $250,000 earlier this month.
So they aren't even 1033ing shit because of this. Now they're just buying it new.
Yes. Jasmine goes on to say, quote, the government at this point is honestly preparing for war and retaliation against the working class. They treat us as if they're an occupying force in our communities. I think the technology that they're funding speaks to that. The state relies on the police to enforce capitalism, to protect property, to essentially ensure that people are funneled into exploitive labor practices.
Everything I don't like is capitalism. Capitalism bad because I don't know what that word actually means.
Yes. Like I said, this is a Vice article.
These people fucking very interesting, comrade. Face wall.
Yeah.
Like
here's one. DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman told local news outlet 11 Alive, quote, this funding will allow us to proactively work to mitigate the growing crisis of homicides and violent crimes in Metro Atlanta that holistically address the root and the effects of crimes in our area.
You know what would have holistically addressed that? Taking the funds and using them to, like, I don't know, provide affordable housing. Maybe not inflating people's wages. Maybe you don't do those funds at all. And, you know, that would probably fucking help because the root cause is the fucking poverty and war on drugs that you're perpetuating.
Here's another
quote
from
sense,
Jasmine.
Andrew.
Yeah. Here's another quote from Jasmine. Quote, there's always this narrative, particularly in the pandemic, that crime is spiking, that folks are becoming more violent, when in reality, people are just becoming more and more desperate because they're working 40 hours a week, if not more, and they're still unable to feed their families. So this narrative about crime is really just a justification for expanding the police state even further, so that when people push back, the state is ready to crush these movements. That's one of her quotes I completely agree with.
Even a broken clock.
Yes.
Mhm.
The problem is that people like that, they scream about capitalism, but they don't actually mean capitalism. What they're
No.
yelling about is fascism, which is in fact a brand of socialism and has fuck all to do with capitalism.
Yes. However, it is a very good talking point. And when you have the people that are teaching the young speaking these talking points, the young eat it up like it's the fucking bugs. They're eating bugs. This is mental bugs. So,
That's
but what do I know, right? I'm just a dirty capitalist.
Well, remember in Orwell's
Damn us.
1984, the doublespeak and the fact that by controlling the language and what words mean, by manipulating
Yep.
what words actually mean, you can then alter people's very thoughts
Yeah.
from the inside.
How many times a day do you get called sexist, racist, bigot, etc.?
All the fucking time. I get called a white supremacist endlessly, and I'm like, I'm not even fully white. Like, fuck you.
It's oh my goodness.
I haven't had
Yeah.
that problem yet, but I'm also a bean flavored cracker, so
I've watched Lindsay get called a white supremacist a couple times. And
wow.
that's some funny shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm Ojibwa, right? Like, you're aware of that? Literally grew up on the reservation. Yeah, you white supremacist. Although there's that article that came out a little while ago that said that like straight black males were the white supremacists of the black community.
Or was it
I remember that.
white gays, white male gays, gay white males don't deserve protection under LGBT because they're not oppressed enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's not about actual equality. It's not about actually caring about everybody. The people who care about everybody are us, right? We care about everybody and want everybody to have the means of protection for themselves, to not be stolen from, everything else. These people only want these specific groups that they want protected, and they will modify language to make everything else seem terrible.
It's just like the politicians and the police.
Exactly.
It's like they're another authoritarian caste.
It's almost like fascism is as fascism does.
Yeah. Fasci's gonna fash, bro.
Yeah.
Punch a Nazi, hit yourself in the face.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the reality is that there's, there are plenty of people out there who use the term fascism correctly, including myself, who actually understand what it means, what its economic implications are, everything else. And it's another example. That word is another example of this Orwellian doublespeak, where they're modifying the language to mean something that it doesn't mean, that it's never actually meant, modifying that, and then going, oh, look, see, you're one of those. Well, that isn't what that word means.
It's funny you bring that up, because some reason it just popped into my head. The screenshot that Magnus showed the other day, and the person had the red flags in their name, right? So they're a leftist, communist, Marxist, whatever, and it said something to the effect of when we say, or something to the effect of, like, when we say all cops are bastards, we don't actually mean all cops.
Yeah.
We don't mean the cops in blue states that are enforcing or protecting the class warfare or some bullshit like that, right?
We don't mean the working class cops who protect the working class, because they're not truly class traitors.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, all cops are bastard doesn't mean that all cops are bastard, because we like the bastard cops that do the things we like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you like some dressing for that word salad?
Oh yeah, I just
Right.
dealt with that the other day where I mentioned something. There's a local judge who's just, God, I can't stand her. She's one of those like hyper authoritarian,
Oh yeah,
gives
yeah.
everybody really nasty sentences for
Yeah, we have
especially
some.
for drug crimes and everything
Yeah, some of
else.
those.
And and she very, very obviously hates men, because if men go before her for DV stuff at all, even if it's super questionable, here's a
Yep.
couple of years in prison. Woman,
Yep.
oh, go to a woman's issues class, and here's
Yep.
a year of probation.
Here's
You're
the
okay.
book, and here's
Sorry about
another
that.
book, and here's another book. And
Yeah, and that's like that.
Yeah.
And she's just been forced to resign over a bunch of corruption that has been coming out for the past few years, and she's finally being forced to resign. And I was super happy about that. And I was saying something about being super happy about that to someone who's like, well, I know her, right? And I'm like, that I don't give a fuck, right? And like, I literally couldn't care less. She's like, well, she can be good people person. No. She, just like every other fucking cop, agrees inherently to
No,
enforce unjust laws against people. And she has relished for decades in that ability of nastily enforcing unjust laws against otherwise peaceful people who hurt no one consistently. I don't give a shit that you know her.
Yeah,
all
it's like,
cops, and
it's
boy,
like,
do I mean all cops are bastards.
a cop beating his wife on Monday night and then donating food to the poor on Tuesday doesn't make the cop a good person.
No.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation doesn't make Bill Gates a good man. Bill Gates is still a fucking just really terrible person when you get down to it. But just because he donates a bunch of money to people doesn't mean that he's a good person.
Well, right. My question to people who think, well, not all cops. I mean, there's some good people who are cops. Let me ask you something. Were there some good people who worked for the Gestapo?
Yeah. Were there some good cops at the guarding the Auschwitz or?
Yeah, were some of those guards good people? Were there some good people who worked for the KGB and the GRU? Were some of them good people?
There were some good people that were putting Asian Americans in internment camps in California.
Yeah, were some of them good people? Because the reality is, if you agree to do the things that they do, you cannot be a good person. The idea of a good person being a cop is a fucking myth.
Yep.
Yeah. You can do a lot better out of law enforcement than you can in law enforcement.
I mean, there are good former cops. That dude who does the Never Get Busted series, he's a good former cop. That guy's fucking awesome. You ever talk to him? Fucking cool dude. I love that guy.
on that note, he disarmed a gun-wielding menace in a San Jose taqueria. Then the cop shot him.
This sounds familiar.
Hashtag Johnny Hurley.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Police won't release the body camera footage of a disputed incident for at least 45 days. Con Green, that's Kaun. Con Green may have saved some lives. When a brawl broke out in a San Jose, California restaurant last weekend, the 20-year-old Contra Costa City College student and football player was able to get a gun away from the man who had started the fight. For his good deed, Green wound up being shot multiple times by local police. San Jose cops responding to the brawl said they didn't know that Green was only holding the gun because he had disarmed the original owner, so they shot him. That is literally the exact same thing that happened to our homie Johnny Hurley.
Yep, exactly.
San Jose Police Chief Anthony Mata claims that, quote, officers gave repeated commands to drop the gun. However, the individual did not drop the gun. But Green's lawyer disputes this, saying that the cops gave Green no time to drop the gun before opening fire. Quote, the officers were walking up the stairs. My client is backing out, and you hear them yell something, and within less than a second, there are gunshots.
No.
Green was shot at least 3 times and is now recovering in the hospital.
The amount of lawsuit.
The officers who shot him have been placed on administrative leave pending the investigation. Lawsuit won't matter because they'll get qualified immunity.
They'll probably get qualified immunity, yeah. But
there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll get qualified immunity.
But taxpayers through the city will pay it off, and
Yep.
you know.
Quote, the person who initially brought the gun into the restaurant and pulled it out during the fight was arrested for being, quote, a felon in possession of a ghost gun.
Ghost gun.
Ooh, it's spooky.
Yeah.
It fires what did they call it in Ghostbusters? Ectoplasm. It fires ectoplasm bullets. Yeah. It's a ghost gun.
If the mere presence of a firearm is justification for a shooting, the police do not believe in your right to bear arms.
Exactly.
Period.
Yep.
It doesn't 100%. Matter. They did not know They did not know that he was the shooter or not. They did not know that it was a ghost gun. They did not know that the guy originally had it was a felon. None of that. They did zero investigation. It was gun, shoot. Period.
Exactly. And to put that in perspective, right, to anybody who goes, well, but I mean, it's a gun. Well,
if I'm holding a knife in a cage, and our lives would be completely torn apart.
Yeah. And if I'm holding a knife, right, like let's eliminate the fact that it's a gun. It's just an object, right? If I'm holding a knife and I'm standing there and a cop is allowed to walk in and shoot me, do I have a right to hold a knife at all?
Yep.
If he can just shoot me as soon as he sees me holding one? What if I'm working in a kitchen? I'm standing in a kitchen holding a knife. He walks in, he shoots me. Well, clearly I'm not allowed to have that knife because he can just shoot me for the mere fact that I'm holding a knife. Doesn't matter where I am.
Yep.
If I'm in the middle of a violent encounter and I have a gun in my hand and I can be shot for that, simply having a gun in a violent encounter to defend myself, or maybe I, in this case, took it away, or in Johnny's case, I used it to eliminate the threat, then I don't have a right to have that gun, do I?
Yep. In this case and Johnny's case, there's no mention of him pointing the firearm at the officer.
Yeah, none.
Right? So the officer's life was not at risk at any point in time. It was the mere presence of a firearm that this officer used as justification for shooting. In this case, thank goodness he lived. He got hit 3 times and he lived. Johnny got hit once in the low back and it went in and hit his pelvis, and Johnny laid there on the concrete and bled to death in pain.
Yep. After being a hero who saved people's lives.
Yes. In both cases. In both cases. So
they were the real heroes. The cops, remember, when seconds count, the cops are minutes away. The real heroes who are there, who do the help, who actually take care of things, they're the ones that the cops show up and shoot. Immediately,
bad guys.
No questions asked. Yeah, you must be a bad guy. And remember, if you're a concealed carrier, as I know a lot of people are, including myself, if you're carrying a weapon, you need to remember that even if you respond to someone...
24 states now have constitutional carry?
25.
25?
Yep.
Georgia
just joined as number 25.
Okay, so half the U.S. states have constitutional carry. That is in half the states that you just merely having a firearm is justification for the police to shoot you.
Yep, but you don't worry, you have a constitutional right to do it.
Yeah, it's a constitutional right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, guys. They're on your side. Wave that blue flag.
Yeah, you keep waving that thin blue flag and keep going, oh, but the cops are our friend. Mm-hmm. No, they're fucking not. And you know what? If you know a cop, I guarantee you with 100% certainty that if they show up to some sort of gunfight and you're holding a gun, they will also shoot you without asking a question.
Yep.
They could be your fucking brother. They could be your dad, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. They will shoot you because before anything else, they're a member of their gang.
Yep.
And they have no problem fucking
one of my best friends years ago. He became a cop.
Yep. I saw your post about that, yeah. All right. I don't want to get on this topic longer. And of course, I have another cop story. Or technically, it's a government story. 2 government stories. 3 government stories. Oh, fuck.
Well, cops are members of government, so.
Where are we going?
I want to do the one on the ATF, obviously.
The ATF. Okay, I'm going to make you wait for that. All right.
I don't get to rant. I gotta wait to rant.
I got one for you. This is our hidden article that I did not let you guys know about. It is about House Bill 2775 in Illinois. HB 277. I can't read the headline because it'll give it away. HB 2775. It's legislation that would mandate that property owners participate in the Section 8 program.
What?
Andrew's eyes just got really wide.
What?
Yes. It is legislation that would mandate that property owners participate in the Section 8 program. You know what Section 8 is, right? Section 8 housing, right? It's government. It's welfare housing essentially, right? It's the welfare participants move in, they get the house really, really cheap, and then the government subsidizes the rest of the rent,
it's the I'm too lazy and or stupid to have made good choices in the course of my lifetime, and therefore I cannot afford to live like an actual adult. So mommy and daddy government still have to take care of me program.
Hold that thought. The bill is titled Homelessness Prevention. The method used to prevent homelessness is a source of income protection enforced under the Illinois Human Rights Act, meaning a housing provider would be prohibited from declining to rent to a tenant due to their source of income or face a human rights violation.
You don't have a fucking right to something that somebody had to fucking work for.
Some examples of protected income would include alimony and child support, Social Security benefits, veterans benefits, or earnings by people who are self-employed and pay in cash. None of these sources of income protection are a clause for the objection to the bill. The bill would also make Section 8 program a protected source of income, and that is the reason that property owners are fighting this legislation. The Section 8 program is a contract that a property owner signs with a government agency to control rental terms. The contract is non-negotiable, so the government sets the rules of the property owner must abide by them.
Owner.
So what this says
to be said every time is owner.
So what this bill would do is you have a rental property in the state of Illinois. You are now required by law to join the state's Section 8 program. And it's against the law. It is a human rights violation to refuse to rent your property to someone based on the source of their income, in this case, Section 8. So it doesn't matter the background check, doesn't matter any of that stuff. If you don't want to rent to them because they're on Section 8 or alimony or Social Security or whatever, government mandated income, it is a human rights violation for you to deny or for you to choose who gets to live in your property.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like rentals are a first come, first serve.
This is so we have a word. There's a word that exists.
There's a lot of words.
There's a very specific word for economies where government dictates to businesses who they're allowed
capitalism,
to do
right? Oh no, that's not it. No. It starts with a F. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it was created by an Italian guy.
Not free market.
No. Yeah, it was created by this Italian guy in the late in the 20s, early 30s.
It's not a free market. You still have to pay for it. Duh.
It involves. I think
people say things like that.
Yeah, I think the symbol is something with like a bundle
there
of
will
sticks
be no
and an
denial of the renter.
You will accept the approved members of the party, and you will not argue. I hate that.
The Section 8 program is intended to be voluntary. To make it mandatory, a property owner must sign a non-negotiable contract with a government agency is unreasonable. Failure to sign the contract would be a human rights violation. Being accused of a human rights violation exposes the property owner to liability for attorney fees to defend themselves and also the accuser's attorney fees.
I think
If
I'm
found
going to
guilty,
start buying some rental property in Illinois because it wouldn't be the first time I was accused of a human rights violation.
And it won't be the last.
oh, I wish there was some like cool jingle about being on a government watch list that I could just blurt out like a random song.
Remember, kids, it's not a war crime the first time someone does it.
It's only hashtag it's only treason if you lose. If found guilty, there are significant fines. So even when they do nothing wrong, many small landlords can be unable to afford to defend themselves. Yes.
Well, yeah, because if you only own like one property, like let's say, so under this, let's say you have your house, right? You inherit, maybe your mom dies, she leaves you the house, you inherit that, right? You only have the other house, but you decide, you know what, that's an income source that I can use rather than selling it. I'm going to rent it out. And then a person with a string of drug convictions, a string of maybe violent crime convictions, all sorts of shit, but they qualify for Section 8. They have 15 children running around and they want to apply. And you are not allowed to deny them because one of the things they qualify for is Section 8.
Yes.
You can't deny them and defend yourself. You can't afford that. You're fighting the state. You know that whole I fought the law and the law won thing?
Yeah.
You can't defend yourself.
No. It is almost impossible to defend yourself against the government.
Mm-hmm.
No, you'll have your day in court.
I should segue on that comment, but I'm not going to because we're going to keep talking about this. So
at this point, what this incentivizes is if I have a rental property, this incentivizes me to just put it up for sale, which means there's no more rental properties anymore.
Yep.
It's all just being sold.
Let's see. The government contract gives the government unlimited access to inspect the property and free access to the property owner's office computers and documents in order to inspect business records. It also gives the government control over lease terms and can interfere with the sale of a property.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Fucking no.
So it turns property owners, rental property owners, into FFLs, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Yeah, you want to talk about incentivizing just selling all of your properties immediately. This right here.
Yeah. Holy crap.
My goodness. And not only that, it's guaranteed income, right? Because it's government backed. So it's a guaranteed income. What happens when the government guaranteed educational?
Oh, dude, exactly. We've seen that here in La Crosse, right? Real quick anecdote. La Crosse used to have a ton of relatively affordable housing, right? Because it's got it's a college town. It's got four colleges in it. So it's got a ton of colleges. There used to be a ton of relatively affordable housing here. Once the Section 8 thing started, and once we started having that, now 3/4 of the housing here is $1,200 or $1,400 for a one bedroom, which is 4 times what it used to be. And it's because all of those new places that are getting built, they're all luxury apartments. And when I say luxury, I do mean luxury. So we have a secured entry, you got a bellman, you got all of this shit. You got an elevator to go up, freight elevator if you got to bring groceries up. You have marble, like black marble countertops. You have all this amazing shit. There's a green deck on like the 4th floor and everything. You got all of this fancy shit, and it's like incredibly expensive unless you have Section 8, because if you have Section 8, you out of pocket are only paying $300 or $400 of that. So it's okay. But what they did is they jacked all their rents way up because they then qualify for Section 8, and so they're getting all that guaranteed money. So now no one can afford to live there unless they have Section 8.
Yeah, we have here in Antioch, there was about 20 years ago, 96, 97, so about 25 years ago, there was a huge housing development built on the south side of Antioch called Deer Valley. Or Deer Valley, and then it's also called something ranch. I can't remember. But either way, it's like 20,000 houses, right? Fucking huge. They built a separate high school out there just for this housing track. Golf
Jesus.
courses out that way, yeah. But the housing market wasn't that fantastic, right? And people weren't moving into it, so they opened it up for Section 8. And at that same time, Alameda County, which is Oakland, El Sobrante, Richmond, they sealed the books. They closed their Section 8 and stopped taking new people. So all the people that wanted Section 8 in Alameda County, Contra Costa County literally put up billboards and saying, look, we have this huge housing tract out here. You guys can come move out here and live in beautiful Antioch. And so they did. And I think it's like 2/3, and it's like 60% or 62% or something like the houses out here are now Section 8. And my rent has doubled in the last decade because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's not, and it needs to be clarified that it's not
government.
Yeah, and it's not saying that there's, being against, people who aren't making much money, people who are struggling or anything else. What it's saying is that ultimately what you're doing is you are creating a constant cycle of dependency.
Yeah,
because if you make too much, you don't qualify for Section 8 anymore, which disincentivizes progression in your career.
Yeah, exactly. Every new rule, every new piece of legislation, every new regulation, every new tax drives up the cost of a given service.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In this case, we're talking about housing. So every regulation that they have to comply with, all this other BS, it's going to increase the cost of the rents.
Well, yeah, right? At this point, if you, in these places that have all this, if you're making 35, 40K a year, you make too much if you're living alone, if you're on your own, to qualify for Section 8, right? You're not going to qualify for Section 8 at 40K. So, but it's not enough to afford rent that's $2,500 a month. You can't afford that. Which means that you can no longer find housing. Yep. You're now looking at being homeless, making $40K a year.
Yeah. So,
because of this shit.
On that note, Josh Sater, cool line about not fighting the government again.
Oh, well, you just, get your day in court.
Police seized almost $10,000 from him. A court has ruled that he has no right to an attorney. Hashtag stunned silence. In April 2015, police in Indiana seized almost $10,000 from Terry Abbott after he was arrested for selling drugs to a confidential informant. Cops used a process known as civil forfeiture, allowing them to proceed with pocketing those funds prior to securing a criminal conviction. Naturally, Abbott attempted to challenge that action in court, but he lost his attorney as the money he would use to pay for that counsel was taken by the state. So for years, he has represented himself. The Indiana Supreme Court on Tuesday decided that it's keeping with the law, ruling that the defendant has no right to use their seized funds to finance legal representation. Right? You're picking that up? All right. The court ruled that the defendant has no right to use the seized funds that were taken without a conviction to finance legal representation. Right? Hold on. Quote, we do not find that the legislature intended this language to give the court equitable authority to order the seized property released to defendant to defend the forfeiture action. That is a quote from Justice Stephen H. David, noting that the court's hands were tied by the relevant statute on the books. Central to the American criminal justice system is that every defendant is innocent until proven guilty. But civil forfeiture isn't a criminal action. It's a civil one occurring in a civil court where defendants are not necessarily entitled to a lawyer. Only in certain extraordinary circumstances, the court ruled, is the state required to provide one.
So they can steal your money from you.
Without conviction. Without conviction.
Just take your money away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you are not, because it's not a criminal proceeding to get it back,
mm-hmm.
which is a load of horseshit.
Yes.
You are not allowed to use that money that they, again, stole from you to get the money back from them.
Yes.
But don't worry, though.
Hold
Don't
on,
worry.
hold-
The government
not-
is definitely not a mob.
not-
It's not a
not-
gang. We promise.
Not
Definitely
only,
not
not
that.
only, according to the government, not only can you not use that money that they stole without you from a conviction to fund your legal protection, but the court will not issue you a lawyer because it is not a criminal case.
Because it's a civil case.
Because it's a civil action.
I mean, there are alternatives to retrieve your money that we're not going to go into that seem like a completely
Hashtag
and
Fed posting.
completely entirely reasonable course of action in such an event. Because again, they're a fucking gang. And the way that you beat a gang,
Yes. I will.
you don't reason
with
with them.
I'll read the quote in the following paragraph again. This is from Justice Stephen H. David, noting that the court's hands were tied by the relevant statute on the books. Quote, we do not find the legislature intended this language to give the courts equitable authority to order the seized property released to the defendant to defend the forfeiture action. Yeah.
So they can just, what this means is they
Yes.
can
What- okay,
simply
hold on.
steal money from you, all the money they want, and you have no ability to get it back
Yes.
unless you have a stash of separate money
Yes.
that they didn't
Yes.
steal.
Yes, the government is able to put the defendants in a chokehold by seizing the very assets that they would use to defend themselves against such a seizure. Fighting to get your cash back is a bit difficult when the government has taken all of your cash. Then we got a quote from Sam Gedge, an attorney with the Institute for Justice and a lawyer for Abbott. Quote, one of the many pernicious things about civil forfeiture nationwide is that the government has the power to seize your cash, your cars, your home, but unlike in a criminal case, you don't have a right to an appointed counsel. So if you want to defend your cash, your car, your home in civil forfeiture action, you typically have to pay for a lawyer yourself, and that's not surprisingly economically feasible for lots of people who are being targeted in civil forfeiture actions.
Oh gosh, you mean if they
it's
steal all
like
your
that-
money, it's really hard to afford somebody that wants money?
Yeah, it's like that family in the Pacific Northwest that are living in their sister's basement because they even took the wife's money, who had absolutely
Her own
no
job,
connection
her
to
own
whatever
businesses. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But don't worry,
Put
the
that family in
police are just
poverty.
here to help you. Because remember, it's not the court that took the money. It's not the senators or the representatives that took the money. It's
Nope.
not even the regular government bureaucrats that took the money. The people that took that money were the cops.
Yep. The cops who will shoot you just for holding a firearm.
They're the ones who took the money, and then the court is backing them up and saying you don't even have the ability to use that money to defend yourself. But keep telling you that the Constitution is a thing that limits government, that it fucking matters.
Yeah,
Magic
no,
piece of paper.
Yeah. My parchments. But
My sacred
Yeah.
parchment with my sacred sky cloth.
Yeah. Be the Constitution one thing or be it another.
and don't forget, it was a coup. It only came into being because the federal government was limited in its actions during Shays Rebellion by the Articles of the Confederation.
Yep. If you haven't read the papers by the Anti-Federalists, you should go read those.
Yeah, read about the aftermath of Shays Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
I wish Daniel Shay had succeeded.
You know, again, I'm just saying, Aaron Burr, Tactical Pistol Solutions for the win. Again, read up on the Anti-Federalist, kids. You'll get it.
Okay, let's get on to this last article. This one will take a while, and Andrew's going to rant, and there's going to be airplanes, and Josh is going to fall asleep. So this is a USA Today article. It says, "New era at ATF? Question mark. Agency shuts down cheap gun manufacturer in win for control groups." The nation's gun regulatory agency took the rare step of revoking the license of an American gun manufacturer in a win for gun control group that has dodged the company's or had dogged the company tied to illegal trafficking of cheap guns. No, we're not talking about High Points.
Surprisingly, we're not talking about High Points. We're talking about another one that you may have heard of, Jimenez.
Nope, they probably haven't actually, because it's a really small company, and they make a really 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 cheap firearm. Like you, okay, I take that back. If they watch Demolition Ranch, they've seen a Jimenez. It's the tiny little silver 25 ACP with the faux ivory grip.
Jimenez made a few different guns. I've had a Jimenez. I'm not proud of that, but I did have one.
You did say past tense had, so we can forgive you.
It's on par with the Liberators. I'll just put it that way. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives acknowledged in court Wednesday that they would revoke the license of Nevada-based JA Industries LLC, which is a reorganization of Jimenez Arms, which has long garnered the attention of Every Town for Gun Safety, an organization that advocates gun control.
Yeah.
Kansas City filed a lawsuit against Jimenez Arms in 2020, alleging that the pistol manufacturer created a public nuisance by fueling illegal gun trafficking into the city with its low-quality zinc alloy pistols, which can retail for about $150.
Oh, they're fucking garbage.
They're absolute garbage.
They're to put in perspective how cheap these guns are. Okay, a magazine for a Jimenez is about $20. Okay, you spend about $20 on a mag. The gun is $100 without a magazine, which means that the magazine accounts for 1/5 of the price of the firearm.
Jimenez declared bankruptcy. Yeah, so because it's a cheap firearm, because it's by nuisance of illegal trafficking with its low quality zinc alloy pistols that can retail for $150. So because it's cheap, it's trafficable. For I don't know why you would want a cheap pistol.
The thing is, like, what do you always hear, right? What's the phrase you always hear? Like, if you ever watch Gangland or you ever watch Drugs Inc., this is my Glock 40, right? It's always Glocks, 40. Right? My Glock 40, and they're holding a High Point, but it's always Glock.
High Point, right? With an extended mag.
Yeah, with the Stendo and the $100 bill, Hydra Dip, and yeah, because that exactly one of those is how much it costs. But the fact that it's cheap and shitty in no way means that it's geared at all towards criminality. It's just cheap. Remember at the turn of the century, not long after the turn of the century, right? There was the Saturday night specials. Mm-hmm. We've all heard of Saturday night specials, right? Those were the really, really, really cheap, shittily made, would probably function revolvers that you could buy at your local hardware store for $2. And that's where Saturday Night Special comes from, is it was talking about that. It was talking about, like, you buy this gun on as a special for Saturday night, you'd buy this gun. Yes. And they were garbage, but they were dirt cheap, but they were not engineered towards criminality. It was I need a gun. I don't have money. I'm going to go buy this.
Jimenez declared bankruptcy shortly after the suit was filed and quickly obtained a new federal firearms license for the same owners in the same city. This prompted extraordinary actions by Every Town, which brought up an entire inventory of Jimenez pistols and gun frames at a bankruptcy auction and had them destroyed.
I want to mention this.
I bet that cost
I really want to highlight that.
$70.
Yeah, like a whole $70. It cost them dozens of dollars. Okay. But I want to point out something. They purchased at an auction a large amount of weapons to have them destroyed. Okay. Which means A, they became an FFL, unlikely. Or B, they filled out a 4473,
Mm-hmm.
which means they committed multiple felonies by lying on the 4473s.
Oh, they don't care about that.
I know. I just want to highlight that they committed multiple
Well, hold on.
felonies.
Let's not forget that Jimenez had a FFL.
Yep.
Right. They were in good standing with the ATF. Then they declared bankruptcy and became JA. And they were again able to obtain an FFL.
Right, which means they
So
hadn't done anything wrong.
So they were in good standing with the ATF.
Yep.
Right. So they were completely legal in their operations.
Yep. And yet any town can commit probably
Every town.
40, 50, 100 felonies.
Every town.
Or every town.
Yeah.
100 felonies, buying all these guns, maybe more.
Yes.
To destroy them. Because if you buy a gun for the purposes of destroying it, you are in fact lying. It's necessary that you lie on the 4473, because one of the questions on the 4473 asks you if you're purchasing the weapon for your own possession.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you're lying on your 4473 in order to get these weapons. So they committed a slew of felonies that they will never be prosecuted for. But the FFL that's simply building cheap guns gets prosecuted.
Poor people deserve personal protection also.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The High Point's a pile of shit. The Jimenez is a pile of shit. It's probably going to fail when you need it most. But you know what? If it does go off, it's better than not having it.
Yeah.
Because at least if you have it in your hand, if you can get nothing else,
what is the stat? What is the stat? It's like firearms are used in personal protection like 2.5 million times a year, right? Something like that.
Yep.
And in less than half of those, the firearm ever goes off.
Yeah.
Right. Something like that. So like just having the firearm in your hand is a good 50-50 shot.
Yep. And the thing is look, if you don't have a gun in your hand, right, and you need it, if you don't have a gun, there's a 0% chance that you survive that encounter. There's a 0% chance that you fire a round for sure, right?
Yep.
If you have a gun that even has a 50% chance of going off, you've now dramatically increased the likelihood that you survive that encounter.
So, all right, we're going to make Andrew red right now. This is a quote.
I read this article. It's fucking garbage.
This is a quote from John.
It was shaking when you started it.
Yeah, this is a quote from John Feinblatt. Feinblatt, Feinblatt. Feinblatt. He is the president.
Hey, look at that.
He's the president of every town. He says, quote, "I think this is an undisputed important step towards shutting down a manufacturer that flouted federal law and facilitated gun trafficking. It shouldn't have taken 3 lawsuits to get the ATF to do its job. I can only hope this marks the beginning of a new era at ATF when it starts to serve as a watchdog of the American people rather than a lapdog to the gun industry."
The ATF is a fucking lapdog of the gun industry, not the bane of its existence. No. It's a lapdog to these people.
Wow.
They're psychotic. The word is psychotic. They have a psychosis. The real world and the world in which they mentally inhabit are not, in fact, the same place. That's psychosis. They have a clinical problem with their brains.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm not sure it's curable, which means, much like zombies.
Yeah, it is.
If you have a Jimenez in your hand, it's a 50-50 chance, but
it's a 50-50 chance. Yeah. These people are fucking like they're unhinged. They don't understand reality. They don't understand the way the world really works. They have no idea what the gun industry actually looks like, what gun ownership looks like. Like they don't know what gun culture is. They have no idea. They don't understand any of it. they all live almost universally in these gated communities and these upper middle class fucking cookie cutter home locations. They are so far removed from the real world, which is, you know, again, referring back to the previous articles about how the economic collapse is coming. They're about to fucking learn. They're so far removed from what the real world looks like.
And there's a Jimenez. No, it's a Jennings. Sorry, never mind. But it's a Jennings Jimenez J22 on Gunbroker right now. So no bids.
They're what I showed earlier to show with the type of Jimenez that I actually owned. It's on Sportsman's Outdoors Superstore. Currently purchasable with magazine, 9mm. And I shit you not, it says police trade-in.
Because it was stolen from lockup?
I don't know, but it says police trade-in, $119.99. They're not. Yeah, $119.99. Police trade-in. JA9.
There's a Jimenez Arms parts kit. If anybody wants to 3D print a lower, good luck.
You're so inclined. The thing is this design isn't bad. They're not terrible guns, believe it or not. Like design wise, they are terrible guns because they're a knockoff. Like if you look at this, you can see what it's knocked off of.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul noted that JA Industries pistols were previously barred from entering barred from being sold in state, but the criminals still brought them across state lines.
Oh, because more laws will definitely stop the criminals this time.
Quote, interstate trafficking allows them to reach the hands of young offenders who are attracted in part because the guns are so cheap to be used in carjackings and other gun violence.
Yes, because we all know that criminals resell guns at different prices depending on what they were originally worth.
Like the reason they went after them is because they were cheap. Like we talk about it in the AR market a lot, right? We talk about built to a price point.
Yep.
Right. That's the discussion between like the Colt, the Colt, you know, the LE 6019 and the M&P 2 Sport versus a Daniel Defense or versus a Bravo or, you know, et cetera, right?
Yeah, like the difference between the Omni and, you know, and a Noveski. Like,
built to a price point, right? There's the cheaper a product is, the less you can really rely on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But I mean, poor people need
firearms.
Yeah, poor people need firearms also. Right. And that's Jimenez's crime, is that they made firearms for poor people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, and the funny thing is that there's a very long tradition in the United States of people going after people who make cheap guns. Again, referring back to the Saturday Night Specials. A lot of during the arguments for the NFA and a lot of things like that, and leading up to it, there's a lot of arguments over, you know, pointing to, if you read the minutes of it and you read what the arguments were, a lot of them talk about the Saturday Night Specials that a bunch of people would make and then sell to black people and people of Mexican descent.
Andrew, did you just refer to gun control as class warfare?
It definitely is. It's about ruling class. Hang on. I got the perfect thing for this. Give me a second. I got the perfect thing.
Oh God, here we get another fucking prop.
No.
Insert lame circus music here. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
I have a t-shirt. I have a t-shirt from our friend at Black Guns Matter.
Yeah. All gun control is racist.
All gun control is racist.
Yeah.
It's
Always
the thing
has been.
is as you head into the 1930s, 1940s, especially, you start to see where it becomes specifically, really, is starting in the late 1860s. Once the slaves are freed, it starts to become less fashionable to be racist openly with your gun control, right? You can't be like, well, I don't want them blacks with them guns, right? So it's unfashionable to do that. So what it starts getting billed as is, I don't want poor people to have guns.
Yes.
So you create these barriers of entry. That was the point of the NFA. That was the point of the GCA. That was the point of the Hughes Amendment. This is the point of gun control historically in the United States. And everywhere, because you also see it in the UK, for instance.
All that you mentioned were verbatim taken from Nazi gun control laws.
Yeah, they're about, well, the NFA wasn't really necessarily, but because that's 34
parts of it, but the GCA was.
GCA maybe, but
does that make the GCA fascist?
Well, yeah, they all are blatantly. But the whole thing is that I mean, you see that in the UK, right? Because look at rich people in the UK. Look at rich people across Europe. They can own whatever they want. They can go hunting all they want. They have all these guns, all these fancy guns. Look at H&H, right? Everybody knows H&H. H&H has a partnership with Land Rover. You can buy a Range Rover that's an H&H edition Range Rover, right?
Yep.
In the UK.
It absolutely blows people's minds away here when you talk about suppressors in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You can walk in and buy suppressors off the shelf like you can ammo in the United States.
Yeah, and right. The reason for that was because of fear of communist assassins, which is ridiculous because that never actually happened.
And it's considered rude in most parts of Europe to shoot your firearm without a suppressor.
Yep. Yeah, in Czechoslovakia, the law actually says that you need to be recommended by a gun retailer that you also buy a suppressor with your gun. That's why almost every CZ that you see come into the US, even, they all seem to have threaded barrels available. Like, that's a common thing.
Which is
threaded barrels
in California.
Yeah, it's because it's for suppressors. The reality, though, is if you look at it, it becomes unfashionable at a point in history in the United States to go based on race. But remember that minorities are still, they're subject in the South to Jim Crow. They're even discriminated against in the North.
I think it came out last year, or 2021, the fastest growing demographic for firearms ownership was Black women.
Yep, which is what's freaking out every town, right? Because it's a bunch of wine moms. It's a bunch of white upper middle class suburban wine moms, and they're really freaked out at the idea that people of color may be able to obtain firearms.
Yep,
this scares them, and this is the history of these regulations in the United States, and why cheap guns are always attacked so vehemently is because the whole idea behind all these gun laws and everything after the end of the Civil War, heading into the 20th century, is that we can't just go based off of race anymore, but we know that people that we don't like tend to be lower class. And those are people of color. Those are the Irish. Those are Italians. We know that we don't like them. So if we can raise the barrier to entry into the firearms world higher, we can keep them from getting into it. And that's the idea.
That's like San Jose, or the story we read about earlier, the guy getting shot for just possessing a firearm. San Jose has a mandatory firearms insurance. Right? Firearms owners have to have insurance.
Right.
It's a fucking ridiculous amount of money.
It's about raising the barrier to entry. It's about making sure that only the upper crust has access to firearms. And the easiest way to compare it is if you look at the UK and you look at the fact that if you have a title, right, you're a lord, you're a lady, you're a duke, you're whatever, right? You have the ability to basically obtain almost any gun you want because you have the money to do that. That's what comes with the title. It comes with all the land ownership and everything else. You can buy anything you want, shoot anything you want, even though the UK has such strict gun laws. And it's because you're part of the upper crust. You're part of the unique
it's a
section of
class
society.
It's a class and a caste system.
Yes, it's about setting up a caste system. It's about making sure that people who don't have that kind of breeding and that extra money don't get the guns.
Let me read a couple of a quote and 2 paragraphs for you. This is from Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas. He says, quote, Jimenez Arms has caused significant harm to our community, leading to homicides, violent crime, and a number of shootings. Today's decision is an important one for Kansas City, the state of Missouri, and for our country. From 2014 to 2018, the Kansas City Police Department recovered, seized, or held as evidence at least 166 Jimenez Arms guns, according to court documents. In 2018, prosecutors charged Kansas City Fire Department Captain James Samuels with gun trafficking and a ring tied to several cases.
That guy did nothing wrong.
Court documents showed that 57 of the 77 firearms trafficked were Jimenez Arms pistols. He pled guilty last year and was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
And again, we go back to what are the core origins of a lot of crime and a lot of gang violence and everything? Poverty, the war on drugs, right? Who's disproportionately affected by that? People of color, people living in the inner cities. It's still about class. It's always going to be about class. And it's the fact that the rich, the people with lots of wealth, lots of means, they find themselves to be different than you. Look at how many celebrities, anti-gun celebrities and anti-gun politicians, when pressed about the fact that they have armed security, have responded with, well, I need it.
Yeah, I'm more important than you.
Yeah, it's about they find themselves to be more valuable than the average person. They think that they matter more, that they are more important than the average person. And therefore, you don't deserve those guns. They do. You don't deserve access because you are just a peasant. That whole idea of the feudal system has never truly gone away. Even in the United States, it's carried from the UK. It's carried from France. It's carried from Spain to the United States. And there's still a class. I mean, there are videos that come out all the time. There are all sorts of documentaries talking about how the Kennedys are American aristocracy and things.
Oh,
that comes out all the time.
There were people talking about Chelsea Clinton's wedding as the American royalty. I remember that. Oh, that makes me want to vomit.
If you think that America doesn't have a class system, I got bad news for you. It absolutely does. And it's not because I begrudge rich people inherently, because I don't. If you've worked for your money, you've been smart to get your money, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is I have a problem with the fact that the majority of hyper rich people use government to protectionism to make more money. They use the government to get their money, and then they get in bed with them, and then the government will protect them as a separate class. If you get rich enough, look at HSBC, right? HSBC was found to be laundering money for a shit ton of terrorists. Like, just not terrorists, like literally terrorists and drug cartels. And when the United States had all of this evidence, they went, but if we try to arrest them, the bank might fail because their entire board of directors will go to prison, and we can't have that. They're literally too rich to arrest.
Too rich to fail. Remember that from 28, 29? Too big to fail?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, they're
20
too rich. They're too
2008,
rich to
2009.
suffer consequences.
Yep.
Yep.
No.
And that's the thing, is there's a class system that's in place. And I mean, even Karl Marx recognized it way back when, and Broken Clock, right? 2 times a day, right?
Karl Marx also didn't like peons having guns.
Yeah, Karl Marx said under no pretense should the firearms of the working class be taken.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what's led to like the John Brown Gun Club and everything. Although nowadays the John Brown Gun Club still doesn't understand the irony of their shit. But
hey, we don't mean all cops are bastards, Andrew. Just the cops that don't think we agree with.
But I mean, it is a class warfare thing, and I'm a capitalist. I am an unrepentant capitalist piece of scum, right? I don't fucking care. My own father
literally
like
a Nazi. Literally a Nazi.
Right? Yeah, because the Nazis were totally capitalist, weren't it all fascists? It's not like their name was National Socialist or anything. They were definitely capitalist.
Oh, what's the one they say about the parties? Oh, the parties have shifted since that happened.
Yeah, bullshit.
The socialists have switched sides since that happened.
Yeah, it's. Oh yeah, the party shift. They come up with any excuse. If you're confused, watch episode 98 of
I'm delirious.
Quo. Feel free to watch delirious. That one. But that's what it is though. It's about class. It's about keeping all of the guns, all of the means of defense, all of the means of control in the hands of the ruling class, and keeping everything else out of the hands of the people who actually need those defenses against the ruling class.
I miss politicians like that guy in 2018. I think it was Minnesota or Michigan, who proposed a bill that was literally arm the homeless. Like he wanted to buy a shotgun for every.
Hell yes, hobos with a shotgun. Hell yes.
Mm-hmm. So, everybody should have firearms. I don't care how cheap it is.
Yeah.
No. Hey,
cheap. The points may look like trash, but they function.
There's a reason the first 3D printed firearm was called the Liberator pistol.
Yeah, it was named after a gun that was intentionally designed to be as cheap and as accessible as possible.
Yep. No. Look up that story if you don't get it. But on that note, I'm ready for bed. So go ahead and let's throw up plugs and get out of here.
Josh, do you have any?
No, I never have. I start, you clean us up. Right? I'm the opening pitcher, you're the closer.
All right. So speaking of cheap, easily accessible firearms, let's get the right one. There you go.
Spooky.
Check out RK Spookware. Use the affiliate link in the description, and you can get to support me as you order things for your 3D printed shooty boys, because those are the guns of the people. No. Also, if you want to care for your beard like a Viking, like I do, you're going to use code InkedAnarchist15, get 15% off of thebeardstruggle.com. Your entire order, they got all sorts of new scents. They even just launched a skincare line for men. They have stuff for women now that they just launched. They also have the beard straightener, all sorts of cool stuff. Again, that is InkedAnarchist15 at thebeardstruggle.com. If you want to save money off of that, don't be afraid to buy Derica's book if you maybe can't think for yourself, and get Think for Yourself, a critical thinking workbook for beginners from Amazon. It's like $10, and you get to, teach yourself how to think, and you get to teach kids how to think. Check out our boy Dave over at Poppins Patches. He's got all sorts of cool patches. He's got cool t-shirts, including one, the Boogalorian, that me and Chris on this show helped him design. So you guys should definitely check that out. If you are a redacted boy like myself, you also want flags, check out Boog Boogie 79 on Twitter. He's got all sorts of cool flags, including the Boog Unity one. He's the one that does all of the Boog state flags, including the Wisconsin one that I have. What have I forgotten? Check us out on Odyssey. Check us out on Rumble.
You're literally reading the banner at the bottom of the video.
I'm grabbing stuff occasionally, but for the most part, I'm remembering it. This shirt that I'm wearing right now with the 762 by 39 off of the spam cans. That's from CF Firearms. CF.com. It's classicfirearms.com. Check them out. They currently have a giveaway for a Bren 2 carbine rifle.
Oh, I hate California.
with an EOTech magnifier and I believe a really nice Vortex holographic sight on it. It's super awesome. It's free to enter. Definitely go check them out. There's going to be a link in the description. If you use that link, it's my affiliate link. I get free stuff out of it, which is super cool of you. I think that's it.
That's it. Stop talking.
Sports single moms.
Yeah.
Rumor
has it that 2 weeks, that is not next week, it is the week after, Derica may be making a comeback. We will maybe have Derica back on the show. She healed up from all her stuff and she said she wants to come back, so I want her back. Because the sausage fest is not very fun.
Yeah, we really need to get more boobs on this show.
Yeah. More boobs on more. No, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
We need to get less hairy boobs on this show.
I'm like, be specific on what you ask for.
Yeah, it's
boobs without beards.
Yes, beardless boobs is what's needed on this show, I think, at this point.
So, yeah. On that note, good luck getting that image out of your head. And we'll take the next one. Peace.
Peace.